Okay, at this time, I'd like to call order to the March 18th, 2026 regular meeting of the Community Safety Committee. Vice Chair Wilson, can you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Secretary, can you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Member Valentine?
Here.
Member De Leon? Member Hom? Member Kim? Member Nam? Member Rosario? Member Tan? Member Voro? Vice Chair Wilson?
Here.
Chair Gonzalez?
Here. At this point, can we get a motion to excuse members De Leon and Member Han?
Motion to excuse?
Second.
There was a motion by Vice Chair Wilson, second by Member Rosario, to excuse members Ham and De Leon. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Nay. Okay, motion passes. Moving on to agenda item number 4, public comments and suggestions. At this time, I'd like to open it up to public comments. Anybody in the audience? Okay, seeing none.
Before we close public comments, I'd like to note for the record the written comments that were submitted before the meeting. Prior to the meeting, we received 2 written correspondence documents submitted by the deadline listed on the agenda. The correspondence has been distributed to the committee members. That correspondence has also been entered into the official record and is available upon request through the office of the city clerk during regular business hours.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Moving on to agenda item number 5, the consent calendar. 5A, we have the approval of minutes for Wednesday, January 21st, 2026. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
Motion to approve?
Is there a second? Second. Okay, there was a motion by Vice Chair Wilson and second by Member Valentine to approve the consent calendar. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. Agenda item number 6, review and consideration. At this time, I'd like to call and report for item 6A. Mr. Secretary, can we please have the report?
Yes, sir. Item 6A, as you mentioned, is a review and consideration of informational status reports on community safety matters, including our crime statistics, traffic, crime prevention, and special projects, as well as emergency preparedness. For tonight's presentation, Captain Drew Strong will be assisted with the presentation with Deputy Neil Wendland as well.
Thank you, sir. So we'll start off with the stat crime sheet. When we're looking at Part 1 crimes, homicides are down 100%, so we have not had any year-to-date. Last year we had 2. Moving down, I'm going to go to the mostly focus on the categories that are have increased at all. Shoplifting robbery has increased. This is what we call an Estes robbery. So if somebody has merchandise and they leave a store, as they're leaving the store, if they still have the merchandise on their person and a security guard tries to detain them and a fight ensues, then it falls into the robbery category. So those are up by 1 this year to date. The increase looks large, 33.3%. However, that's just from 3 to 4. So we are monitoring that. Most of those occur at our shopping centers, obviously, and we will continue to monitor. An area that has spiked is aggravated assaults. Predominantly, these are domestic violence incidents. However, we have had a couple incidents in the mall parking lot where a knife was shown to somebody and also a firearm as well. These have been occurring in the mall parking lot and the town center parking lots. We're upping security over there, and some of our special assignment deputies are providing additional patrols in those particular areas. In addition to that, there's been an incident where one of the homeowner had some rocks thrown at them. That was another assault incident. And so another one was a transient where a beach chair was thrown at them. We continue to monitor these incidents. I don't see any particular patterns to them. On a good note, our ALPR cameras have been installed and they are yielding results already. On March 13th, at about 22:40 hours, which would be 10:40 12:40 at night. Deputies had a ALPR camera hit on a vehicle. They found the vehicle, went in pursuit of the vehicle on the freeway. The vehicle yielded eventually, and they recovered a stolen firearm. The vehicle was stolen. They recovered a stolen firearm from inside the vehicle, drug paraphernalia, ammunition, and the driver is a convicted felon. So I don't know if those are related at this point in time to the situations in the mall parking lots and the store parking lots, but nonetheless, we got a bad guy off the streets using technology. So kudos to the ALPR cameras and the citizens for pushing for those. Moving on to our subject of residential burglaries, that is always on the top of the list. I just want to remind everybody, well, we'll start off by saying they're down 43%, which is good. However, there was still 26. We're down from 46 the year before. So that is a success story. But regarding the other 26, we want to get that number as low as possible. I know I sound like I'm beating a dead horse, but remember to keep an exterior light on at night, keep a vehicle in the driveway if possible, alarm signs if you have an alarm, exterior security cameras, lock your side gates. Obviously, leave an interior light on at night and install an alarm system if you don't have one. And interior security cameras are good as well. So please just keep your eyes peeled and keep your home safe. We're trying to get these numbers even lower than they are. So moving on, we'll go down to the next area, which is decreased larceny theft. So thefts over $950 have decreased about 10%. Petty thefts have decreased 42%. A lot of this has to do with new laws in order and DAs prosecuting individuals. So the total Part 1 crimes are down 26%, which is good news. In regards to some of the success we've been having and we've been able to sustain, we were trying to cut down the response time for priority calls to 459 audibles, which are burglary audible calls. We've been able to stay at our goal. We wanted to get them down to 8 minutes. They're down to 7.76 minutes. We're able to sustain them there. I've been watching this as time's passed, and we've been able to keep it there. So even with other calls for service that require our attention, we're still able to meet those needs and get to those calls pretty fast. Obviously, not every single time is it 7 minutes and however many seconds, 0.76 seconds or 0.76 of another minute, but we're pretty close to that. So I'm very proud of how we're responding to these calls. Our emergent response calls are about 3 minutes, and if a routine call, for example, a routine call would say if your bicycle was stolen from the front of your house and there is no suspect around, those types of calls take about 26 minutes to get to, which is pretty respectable when compared to other stations. That's really all I have at this point in time. I'll turn it over to Neil for the traffic.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So traffic did kind of increase just a slight bit by 10 accidents compared to last year. Gridley and South came up again on the board for another common place for accidents. I kind of looked at several reports to see if the intersection itself is the problem, or are we just using that as deputies as the point of location for the accidents? Excuse me. It does appear that it is a point of reference more than that's where the accidents are happening. We have failure to yields, running red lights, cell phone violations, unsafe turning movements, which would be lane changes, left-hand turns where there's 2 lanes, and somebody might think there's only 1 lane or not realize they're veering into the other one. Needless to say, I'm trying to get the motors over there more. I'd like to get a 0 number out of that intersection. I don't know if that's a belief, but I'd like to see it one of these days. The schools had a little more requests this last month and a half. Major concerns were parking at the corners, and it was a new law that came into place, and it was to protect really pedestrians from crossing. Okay, yeah, you guys are aware of it. So right now, in the past, the pedestrians would go across the street, and the car would be parked at the corner, and another car would be traveling along the same street, not see him. Usually kids would jet out, and an accident would occur. So bring the cars back a little bit. Maybe other cars will see the pedestrian, or the pedestrian will see the cars going down the street. We're trying to educate the public in this matter. 99% of the time we show up, there are parents waiting for their kids. Advise them of the new law, Can you please move? I haven't seen any issues with it at all. I think we had one car unoccupied and I had the motor give him a parking ticket. Yeah, I did. I believe that was over at Haskell, I think. Don't quote me on that. Speed is still a number one cause in our accidents, and we use speed for rear end violations. So if you're, I'm sorry, rear end accidents. If you rear end another car, it's because of your speed. You should have been equal or less than that car, which usually stopped. Usually, so that's how we calculate the speed. Mentioned the more accidents. Yielding is another cause, and in private property, the mall and town center are still having quite a bit of numbers of hit and runs and accidents there. We had another fatality over at 195th and Bloomfield. I'm currently investigating that right now. We had a hit and run at Norwalk and Del Amo, and I'm happy to say that the case will be filed. We found somebody, and I will be filing it shortly with the DA's office. Other than that, anybody have any questions at all? Anything I missed? Fine. Thank you.
To the freeway.
I think when you say home invasion, you're referring to burglaries? Okay. So the city, as well as the sheriff's department, put forth a whole bunch of new initiatives to help combat that. One is security guards that patrol the city streets. Two is the deputies on the SAO team, the special assignment team, are performing patrol checks in those areas. In fact, if you give me just a second here, I'll give you the entire list. As soon as I can find it in here. I think I know most of it off the top of my head, but and when it first kicked off, they put $50,000 additional dollars toward the issue. But now they've got that going on. We adjusted. I did a unit order for our station to reduce the response times. So we made audible alarm calls a priority. So as you can see from those times that I gave you, the 7 3/4 minute response times. Originally, that was about 16 minutes, the response to a priority call. The response to the audible calls originally fell under routine. So as you saw with the routine calls, those responses were an average of 26 minutes. So we took them from being routine calls and we made them priority calls, reducing that number from what would be the average on that particular page of 26 minutes to 7 minutes. That has been probably one of our best ways that we've combated the burglaries. To be honest with you, the best way that we can combat burglaries is to provide knowledge to the community. And that knowledge is found through the website. We provide that data to the city. Also through Neighborhood Watch. If you guys aren't a member, please join Neighborhood Watch. Some of the indicators that I gave before, as far as locking the side gate, cars in the driveway, cameras, lights on, all those are deterrents. So, there's, I think they say 15,000 residents or somewhere, houses in the city, somewhere along those numbers, or 1,500, 15,000. Yeah, 15,000. So for each one of those homes, if everybody follows these instructions, they're way less likely to get targeted. But a lot of times, I'll be honest, I get phone calls in my office and people's houses have been hit. And usually the first question they ask me is, what did you do? And the first question that after I respond to that, I ask them the simple questions of, did you harden the target? And I don't ask them in a negative way. I ask them in a way so I can learn, right? So that I can understand, where or are we failing at getting our message out? Because I want to improve on getting our message out. That's the most important thing. And most of the time, the conversations that I have with them, they'll tell me, you know what, I didn't have a lock on my side gate. You know what, I like to park my car in the garage. I don't want it to get dirty. I left the lights off because I wanted to save a couple dollars. I didn't want to pay for the lights to be on overnight. So there's a lot of times there's situations where people think that it's not going to happen to me. And it can happen to you. It can happen to me. It can happen to anybody. So please help us help you by hardening the target. Follow those instructions and harden the target so that we can reduce these even more. I mean, we've reduced them a lot, but they can be reduced even more if we all work together.
I'd like to add also, I'd like to thank Captain Strong for his efforts, the efforts of his team, but it's also a tribute to the city council. Back about a year and a half ago, we had quite a response from the community relating to residential burglaries. And at that time, the city council confronted that issue head on. They dedicated quite a bit of financial resources to addressing the issue. They, as Captain mentioned, we have supplemental security patrol that's active in the community, particularly during the daytime hours when people are at work. They're in our residential neighborhoods, serving as a clear visual deterrent. The city council also dedicated what ultimately ended up being close to $700,000 worth of resources to fund our ALPR cameras. We've got ALPR cameras. We just finished implementing phase 3. That was our final phase. I think we have roughly 50 cameras located throughout the community that are helping Captain and his team investigate crimes and capture criminals. And so we've been very aggressive in addressing residential burglaries. It is a main priority for the council. They ask us about it very regularly at city council meetings for reports, and Captain provides that information to them. You all right? And so, yeah, we are committed to it. We realize that one is too many. As much as we'd like to say we'll get it to 0, I don't know that that's necessarily realistic. But we are committed to trying to get it as low as possible, and Captain and his team are doing an outstanding job at that.
In addition to that, the city has purchased my mobile ALPR cameras and obviously additional funds for ALPR cameras throughout the city, which those projects have been completed as well. So there's been a whole laundry list of things that we've done to bring these numbers down. They didn't do that. Those numbers didn't go down on their own. They went with council putting forth the initiative and the money and the finance, us working, as well as the community members working together. So it's a collective thing.
The reason I bring this up is because, one, it's very important to me, and then number two, it's personal. I actually got hit last month, and I think I probably reached out to you, and you were great about it. If you ask me the questions, there's a check mark on everything that you said. Yes, there was cars in the driveway. Yes, the lights were on. Yes, the doors were locked. Yes, there was extra security around the house. There were cameras around the house, and there was alarm in the house. And in spite of all that, they did get in. And I believe Mike came in to take in fingerprints. And my question: so once this gets reported and you have fingerprint, what is usually the next step that y'all do to see if we can actually grab him, or if it's just property, we kind of it's a low priority for the sheriff's department?
So every case is a priority, but we do prioritize based on workable information. So if there's workable information, it'll go at the top of the list. And obviously, certain violent crimes, they're going to go on the top of the list. A lot of those are investigated by outside entities like Homicide Bureau if there's a death or something like that. But we do prioritize the reports based on workable information. So if there's suspect description, license plate, something to work for. We even have, facial recognition and things like that. If there's a face in the home camera, we can utilize that as well. But it has to be a decent photograph, obviously. But we utilize technology and we prioritize them based on the workable information that's allotted to us at the time. So when they read the report, obviously the deputy goes and hopefully takes a good detailed report, provides us everything that you guys can provide as far as the workable information, the suspect's description, if there's a vehicle, maybe the vehicle description, license plate. That's where these ALPR cameras come into play as well, right? Let's say your house is burglarized and you have nothing workable except for example, a gray Honda Civic. Oh, sir, I have a gray Honda Civic in my picture driving. I don't have a plate on it or anything else. These ALPR cameras capture plates all day long. So what we can do is look at the ALPR camera near the time that the vehicle left your house and put those pieces of the puzzle together. So Yeah, that's kind of what we do. That's how we investigate. We investigate and we prioritize things because there's a lot of cases and there's only so many detectives. And I wish that we had a detective that was free to do every single case, and that's the only case that they had to worry about. But unfortunately, that doesn't fiscally work. So they have multiple cases and they prioritize them based on the workable information.
So even if, I mean, if you have all the information, I mean, I know your hands are tied with the law. I think if you catch someone, do you have to just write him up and let him go, or can you keep him back? I mean,
No, if we catch a burglary suspect, they're going to go to jail.
you just don't have to release him after writing him up.
We don't have to release them. We hard book them in the jail facility, and then at some point in time, if they post bail or something like that, yeah, they can leave. We can't hold them if they post bail or if the judge says okay, they're released with a court date or something like that. Yeah, but we're gonna hard book them. They're gonna when we say hard book, it means we're gonna take them into the jail facility, fingerprint them, lock them in there, and place them in there for the time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I get some clarity, Mr. Carey? You said 50 cameras around the city. Are those, what types of cameras are they? They're not all ALPRs, are they?
Yeah, they are. They're all ALPR cameras. They're located throughout the community at strategic intersections, centered around the mall, Cerritos Town Center, some of our high traffic areas. The area that we just completed was the neighborhood, the area around Studebaker 166, next to Cerritos College. So yeah, I think it's 50 to 55 cameras that we've got actively working in the community right now. And that was just completed. Phase 3 was just completed about 2 weeks ago.
Thank you.
Captain, I have a question. I live near Reservoir Park, and I'm just curious. There's a chain link fence that runs at the top of it from a block wall, probably 100 yards to Studebaker. And there's homeless like to go down in through that chain link and go down, and it's real easy for them to just clip that, and they can go in Home Depot, steal cutters, and go right up there and cut it and go down in there. But recently, there's been more of a safety concern, at least from my part. There's so many families that go into there, and that is so often it's cut, and it's been repaired, I don't know, probably 40 times, maybe less. When the officer goes out there to check on a homeless or something and they see that this is there, does that ever go somewhere besides Public Works to fix?
No, on the investigation side, Captain Strong and his team will investigate the crime, but ultimately the property that's damaged, if it's the city's property, it's our responsibility to go out there and fix it. It wouldn't be a responsibility of the sheriff.
No, I was just wondering if he saw this thing over and over and over, if it ever went from the sheriff's department to the city and say, hey, we might have a problem. Because it seems like what we've got right now is we have a rolling team that goes out there and fixes it, and then they leave, and pretty soon, 25 feet down, they've clipped it again, and they're down in there again. I was down there the other day, there was 3 areas that they could go in. And I'm more concerned, not so much of the homeless that are going in there, that is a problem. They started a fire back there one time, and so it's more the safety. That part gets a lot of people in it, and that's wide open. A kid could walk through there, fall into the wash that's there, end up walking onto the freeway. It's just a real safety concern. I was just wondering if you saw that, and if there was a way to turn that over through your department to his department.
So we are aware about that particular location. If we see damage or graffiti, we'll try and notify the city when we observe that so they can come and repair it. In regards to that fence, I believe is that the city's fence, sir? Yeah, that's the city's fence. So we can have them go out there and take a look at it and make any repairs necessary. I think the major issue besides the fence, obviously that's the current issue now, is the homeless folks that are back there, right? So I'm going to have the SAO team in the near future. There's actually a state team from the California Highway Patrol that helps out with these areas as well. They recently helped out Pico Rivera Station in some of their wash areas where they're having some issues. So we're going to see if we can get them to come out with us and help out with these wash areas and offer these people services. Obviously, that's our first move on the chessboard. We try and offer them services to get them in a shelter and get them the help that they need. And we can go from there. But we're aware of it, and we do have a plan to try and deal with it.
Okay, great, thank you.
I might have one more question, maybe a couple more questions. You said about day and night patrol. Is they evenly spread out? Are they more patrolling towards at the daytime and less at night, or evenly? How's your patrolling?
So,
Where-
so my question to you would be, are you referring to security or are you referring to LASD?
No, the sheriff said, you said there's patrolling by sheriff's officers around the city.
Yes. So the sheriff's department patrols throughout the city. You're asking if there's more people on the night shift or there's more people on the day shift.
Yeah,
I'm not going to give out the exact numbers of what we deploy. There is a contractual obligation between us
Sure.
and the city on deployment and what we're mandated to deploy. So we are required to deploy a certain amount of units. We always uphold our part of the agreement to have that many people on patrol. Are there less people on the night shift than the day shift? Yes, simply speaking, because in the day shift you have the motors teams, right? You have the motorcycles. They're not going to be out there writing tickets at night on a motorcycle, right? So you have them, and obviously sometimes it's based on calls for service as well. A lot of times there's a lot more report calls during the day because the businesses are open as well, right? So you have to take that into effect as well. So are there more units out in the daytime? Yeah. Are there more units out in PMs? Yes, PM shift, because all the businesses are open. It's the busiest time. Everybody's out running around
Sure.
and people get off work and so forth and so on. So we do deploy accordingly, but we do meet the contractual obligation as it pertains to our agreement with the city. And those police models were developed a while ago to meet the needs of the city based on crime and everything else.
okay, perfect, thank you. One more question. You said the new parking rules, where parents park around the curb and near schools if they're in a hurry. A lot of people are not aware of that. So are you just citing them, or you actually taking, maybe, educating them for the first time, and let them, because that would be a better, what's the procedure? I'm not sure.
So it's up to the deputy itself, but I've talked to the motors, and we prefer education, especially if someone doesn't know or legitimately doesn't know, since it's relatively new law. Everybody they've talked to, hey, sorry, we didn't know, we'll move on. I think they've only given one parking ticket to some guy that wasn't at his car. So I haven't seen any pushback from anybody at the school at all.
Okay, thank you, Captain. Thank you, Sergeant, for the report. Any other comments or questions from the committee members? Seeing none, I would like to open up public comments at this time. Seeing none, we'll be closing public comments. Do I have a motion to receive and file the report?
Motion to receive and file the report.
Is there a second? Rosario or Member Rosario or Barra?
I could second it.
So there's been a motion by Vice Chair Wilson and seconded by Member Vora to receive and file the report. All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? The motion passes with a majority vote. Moving on to agenda item number 7, reports from the committee staff liaison. Mr. Carey, do you have anything to report?
No report this evening, sir.
Moving on to agenda 7B, reports from community safety committee members. Member Ballantyne? Nothing. Member Kim? Member Nam?
I was just curious if there's a huge issue with the electronic bikes. I see the kids kind of going wild, but it's hard to catch them on camera or video.
So
Yeah, Sergeant Wendland will answer that. That's his area of specialty.
So we haven't seen a huge problem with it compared to other cities like Huntington Beach, Newport. We've had a couple accidents involving them, one fatality on the riverbed, another one just last week at 195th and Pioneer. Another one on the sidewalk, looks like he was probably on his cell phone, I'm assuming, veered off into a parked car in the driveway. Those are 3 reports that come off the top of my head. As far as the accidents go, no. We've had a couple of calls here and there where they're 3 or 4 in the middle of the roadway, acting like kids. Deputies get out there, and they all, from what I understand, are pretty cooperative and leave, or to kind of disperse the area. We haven't had any kind of street, if you will, street takeovers with the e-bikes. There's a big misunderstanding of the e-bikes, and with this case in the riverbed, there's a certain e-bike that's actually out of the classification. It's considered an e-motorcycle, which needs to be a driver's license, insured, and registered, which they cannot because they can't comply with the motorcycle rules of the road, if you will. Those are being towed by the deputies. The main modification on those bikes that make them out of class is they go over 28 miles per hour. And I'm sorry, yeah, they go over 20 miles per hour. And the pedal assist is almost like a starting point. They pretty much can maintain their speed on the road. Most e-bikes, you have to continue pedaling at some point to get that speed back up. But I haven't seen a huge problem in them at all. Like Huntington Beach, if you would, for example.
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead, Mr.
I think last week, March 10th, there's a lockdown in Whitney High School. But by the way, thank you for taking like immediate action and keep the kids and the school safe. But since then, do we have any update on who made a call or who threatened the kids? Because I heard there's a rumor going on around the community saying that every time the school has tests or important like exam, they have like a call. So is that valid or?
So I can't confirm that, or deny, but I do know that Whitney High has been locked down a couple times. When we get these type of threats, whether they seem real or not, we take them serious. So that's why we lock the school down. That's why we take all the measures that we do every single time. It's not going to change. We're going to handle them the same way every time, just as if it was a serious and a real matter at hand. What we are finding is that a lot of these calls are generated via computer. So it's almost like, I think we had a discussion about this, if I'm not mistaken, last community safety meeting, but we had a call at Whitney High, and almost simultaneously they had a call from same type of call in like the central or northern area of California to another high school. So what we think is they're taking people's phone numbers from the internet, just random whoever's numbers, and then utilizing them through some kind of computer-based system to call these schools and generate these fake calls to schools. It causes an extreme headache. It's very hard to track down, but we are trying to work on it. We are still going to handle them the same way. As far as kids generating that so they can miss a test, that's a good idea if you're a kid, I guess. But no, that's we don't have any evidence to support that at this time.
Member Rosario?
Yeah. When I received my parking permits for the city, overnight parking permits, there was a little flyer in there to join the neighborhood watch. Do you know the numbers that came back on that? Has anybody joined?
I don't have specific numbers on the Neighborhood Watch enrollment figures. While the city does support that, that is generally volunteer-led. So I would have to check with our Neighborhood Watch, the gentleman who helps coordinate that. But I don't have specifics on the number of folks that are enrolled. I can tell you that the city's Neighborhood Watch program is among one of the most robust Neighborhood Watch programs in the area. It is a real reason also that we didn't mention earlier, but it's a real reason why our crime stats are as low as they are. It's a partnership that we have with our Neighborhood Watch groups as well. So, but unfortunately, I don't have statistics on enrollment right now.
Okay. So two-part question kind of. Is it possible because I have some neighbors that did respond to it, but they didn't have any feedback yet. If they're, I'm sure they would be accepted, but they have no feedback on, they've been registered or not.
Yeah, they can reach out to me in my office. I'm happy to assist them. Maybe you and I can talk offline as well, and I can get their information and reach out to them.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Member 10? Member Vora?
Yes, I would like to thank Captain Strong. I've reached out to him a couple of times, and he's always been helpful and forthcoming, and I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Vice Chair Wilson?
Yes, I have a few things. Going on to the e-scooter safety and the legal compliance, there's been an increase of children riding the electric scooters up and down Stowers. And in several cases, the scooters are bigger than the kid riding it. And so, so, the California e-scooter requirements of 2026 was they have to have a minimum age of 16 years old. They must have a valid driver's license or a learner's permit. And they need to always, under 18, have a helmet. And the maximum speed for the scooters are 15 miles per hour. They're to ride in the bike lane and not down the middle of the street. And they cannot ride on roads with speed limits over 25 miles an hour. And this is very important. These children are so little that they can't even be seen, just like a kid not on a scooter running out behind a car. They're going to get hit by a car. They're hidden behind the parked cars. You know, they move unpredictably because they can't, the bike is bigger than that. I mean, the scooter. And so they could get hit by a vehicle. So it's a concern for our neighbors. And there's also a concern that these children riding these e-scooters, they don't realize that they're supposed to stop at stop signs. Cars are coming this way and they're whipping through the intersection. So that's a main reason why they need to have a permit or a driver permit or a license to ride it. So, and then I want to go on again. We'll reiterate neighborhood watch and crime prevention. Summer's coming, hot weather's coming. The numbers can creep up. People are going to be away from their home more than they normally are during the winter. You're at home, you don't want to go out. And because of that, we need to work together to harden the target. Lighting, again, is one of the simplest ways. Dusk to dawn lights, I myself personally feel dusk to dawn, they go on at dusk, they go off in dawn, and they stay on all night. When you have motion lights are good too, but it's dark until you get to the light. By then, the bad guy can go around. So if you have both to back up each other, if you lose power, you still have your motion sensors, lights, you know, so those are really good. And when you do leave home for a short time, communicate with your neighbors. Let your neighbors know, the ones directly around you. Text them and say, hey, I'm going to be gone until whatever. And then when they're gone, they're your eyes while you're gone. While they're gone, they'll do the same thing. That way, everybody knows who belongs in your house or around your house when you're not home. So that's one way. Open communication adds another layer of safety to help strengthen our neighborhood and safety for less Holmbergs. And a few simple habits is to always remember to close your blinds, lock your windows, leave a couple of lights on, leave your TV on, lock your side gates. This is one of the first access points that the burglars check. Don't leave valuables visible in your car, even in your driveway. These steps will make it a much easier way to harden the target. And cameras. I want to talk about cameras. I have Ring cameras, and the best way to have cameras are the perimeters of your home. But Ring has now added AI. It now identifies people, packages, animals, familiar faces. It lets you know a package was delivered at your house at 2:40 p.m. Then that way, instead of you having in the middle of a meeting, have to look at your camera because you get an alert, it already texts you right there and let you know what it was. So that, you know, a package was dropped off. If it's in a safe place, you're not worried about it, you know? So it reduces false alarms, and it will eventually, I guess you have to train AI also. It'll be able to see faces. You can basically program the AI the way you want it for yourself and for your house. It will say, instead of motion detected, it'll say 2 people walking on the driveway with a white dog. You know, so that lets you know, well, you know your dog walker, and you know who that, you probably know who those people are. It's not an emergency, but when you only got motion detected, you're looking at the camera. But now you know that that wasn't as important, you know. So you can also tell it to show you when a car stops in front of the house. You know, there's all kinds of things to do with AI. It's all new. It helps residents, it helps law enforcement, and it helps to better identify people and vehicles in activity. So it kind of helps more with everything that goes to Neighborhood Watch. And one last thing. We are working on putting together, it's not ready yet. We're working on starting our next civilian academy. So hopefully by the next safety committee meeting, we should have all the information, and we'll be able to put that out. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Vice Chair Wilson. I do not have anything to report at this time. So I'd like to thank everybody here tonight and those watching at home. That being said, we will adjourn the meeting at 7:42 p.m. Thank you.